Good thing about watching us on social media is that while you're watching, you can send live messages and most likely they'll be read on the show as well. Remember, for every message you send, the hashtag is TV3 New Day. If you have any questions for any of our panelists, please go ahead and drop that in the comment section as well with the hashtag TV3 New Day. You can also watch us on DSTV channel 279, and we're live on Instagram and on Twitter as well, or X, like we all call it, at TV3 Ghana. Now, this morning, like I mentioned earlier, we'll be looking at two very important topics. It's the 9th of July, and it's just 8 days after the official announcement of Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh as the running mate for the NPP's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, today we're told that officially he will be outdoored in the Ashanti region, and we'll be bringing you live coverage of this event from 1 p.m. In fact, we're starting from now, and we hope that by 1 p.m. we'll be able to bring you that live coverage. So make sure to tune in because our team members are set. We have a number of our correspondents in the Ashanti region who will be crossing over with information on exactly what's happening on ground while we have our in-depth discussions in the studios as well. Now, as we take a look at, the lead up to this official outdooring, we'll also be looking at the recent polls and research conducted by Global Info Analytics. And in fact, we have the executive director in the studio to tell exactly what he means by, the research indicating that Napo has not been able to, pull the grassroots and the base in terms of numbers compared to the ticket of, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, back in 2020 during the general election. So what really could be the problem? And then we'll also go to the GBA and Attorney General's response to the Chief Justice's advice on the appointment of judges to the Supreme Court. That as well, a number of CSOs and the minority have also indicated that constitutionally, the Chief Justice is not the one mandated to give that advice or to even recommend who should be nominated into the Supreme Court. And so why is she doing this? You'd hear from the GBA and the Attorney General on what they think is the right thing to do. Now, in the studios this morning, we have the Executive Director for the Global Info Analytics, Musa Dankwa. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I hope you're well.
Doing very well, thank you.
You've been very active on the ground.
Yeah, it's a very busy season for us in terms of polling, so yeah.
Well, we're going to be getting into that shortly. But also, Andrew Appiah Dankwa Esquire is here with us from the Butterfly Nation. He is a private legal practitioner and also a member of the communications team for Movement for Change. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great yourself.
Good to see you. I'm fine, thank you. I wasn't here last week, so we couldn't have a conversation, but it's good that you're here. Are you heading to Kumasi?
Certainly not.
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. That's your region as well, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I thought maybe you'd want to go and visit family members or something just for this week.
No, I was there last week.
Yeah, you were there last week. Okay, so this week you're not going to be there. I hear you. Well, also joining us is Broja Jemfi. He is the Deputy Director for Special Duties for the NDC. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I hope you're well.
I'm good.
Okay, good to have you. Not bad at all.
Good morning.
Yes. And also later we'll have Xavier Kuje joining us. He's a PRO for the Ghana Bar Association when we get into that conversation. But let's talk about Napo this morning. And let's take a look at his profile very briefly before we get into exactly what the research results have indicated. Now, if you take a look at his profile, you can tell, of course, that he served as Education Minister between 2017 and 2021. And within that period, he spearheaded the implementation of the free SHS policy. He showed boldness and decisiveness when it mattered the most. And he's also had an incredible interpersonal and negotiation skills. If you listen to people who have worked with him, in fact, they say that he's a very disciplined man. He's always looking out for results, and that's exactly what he gets. Then, when the NPP retained its title to govern us in 2020, he was now moved to the Energy Ministry, and he's been the Energy Minister till date. He's worked very hard to keep the lights on, and he is indeed results-oriented. There have been instances where we've had to suffer power outages. He insists that that is not doomsday, and he also insisted that there was no need to bring out a timetable because we're not facing doomsday. Many people have attributed that utterance to arrogance, indicating that he could have at least tried to encourage or give hope to Ghanaians instead of making that statement. Where do you stand on this? Well, let's look at his traits. that he brings to the table as he takes up the position as a running mate for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Political astuteness, trustworthy leadership, confidence, and grassroots mobilization. And when you listen to the General Secretary of the MPP, at the time when he was officially being announced, these were some of the traits that they indicated he was bringing to the table. They also talked about charisma, patriotism, and demonstrable incorruptibility. What do you make of this as well? Well, let's get into the research now, because ahead of his unveiling, the Global Info Analytics has put out a research work indicating that, you know, there is some acceptability for him in the Ashanti region. Many would have expected a lot more, but we'll see what the numbers really indicate. But even beyond that, there was a comparison between when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was the running mate for the current president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, back in 2020, and the numbers that were polled during that period as against the likely numbers that will be polled on the ticket of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as the presidential candidate for the MPP with Napo as his running mate. And so we'll just go straight to the executive summary, the second page, where it says that on the critical issue of whether Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh could increase NPP's share of the vote in the Ashanti region compared to 2020, the poll shows that Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the Bawumia ticket still outperforms DMB and Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, as 84% of respondents said they voted for Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo compared to 15% for John Dramani Mahama and Jane Nana Opoku Agyemang's ticket. Compared to current voting intention, DMB and Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh obtained 73% as against JDM and Jane Nana Opoku Agyemang on 11%. And this suggests that the nomination of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh has so far not delivered improved polling numbers as envisaged by the party in the critical region of Ashanti. And so let's come to Musa Dankwa, just so he can give us a brief on exactly what the research numbers are and what they were able to discover. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure, Bella.
So tell us a bit about the sample size and all that before we get into this.
We sampled about 1,300 voters from about 15 or 16, I think 16 constituencies in the Ashanti region following the announcement. Mainly constituencies in the central Kumasi area, and then a few others from the peripherals. The peripherals included Ofinso North, Mampong, and other places. But we largely focused the survey in the heart of the greater Kumasi area. And if you look at what came out, in terms of acceptance of the nomination by the voters, quite high, about 75% approved of the choice of Bawumia as a running mate. So choice of Napo as running mate by Bawumia. So in terms of acceptance, yes, it's been accepted, approved. Only 22% or so said no, they don't approve that nomination.
Okay.
And then 3% did not have opinion on that. And then you move to the next question, analyzing those who approve him by party lines, because it's quite important you understand where the approval is coming from. Now, if broadly he's been approved, but he has to lend support from others to get that level, and he ranks low in the MPP vote, then it could be a problem. But here, 89% of MPP voters in the Ashanti region are happy with the choice.
Okay.
Only 10% are not. And then when you come to floating voters in the Ashanti region, 72% of floating voters in the Ashanti region say they approve of that nomination.
Okay.
So along that line, it's quite good. And even among those who normally don't disclose their party affiliation, 59% approve. Only NDC do not approve, and that is quite expected.
That's expected, yes.
And then if you look at the question of, will that nomination likely influence you to vote for the MPP in December? That number then drops to 62% from 75%. It means, okay, would you actually vote for him? But remember, there were those who are NDC that say, oh, it's okay, he's a good person to appoint. But when it comes to voting, they don't vote for him. The fact that people approve that you should be the running mate does not necessarily mean that when they are given the choice to vote for A and B, they will vote for you.
Did your research go beyond just asking if they vote as to why they would not vote for?
No, we didn't go into that research.
Okay.
Just close-ended questions.
Yeah.
Quick, let's see what happens. So when it comes to likelihood of voting for NPP because of that choice, 62% says yes, they would be influenced by that nomination. 22% said they are unlikely to be influenced by that decision. And 17% said they were neutral, neither go with it or oppose it. So then you begin to see, okay, how would they actually behave when given the chance to vote in an election? Now, when we did that, then you realize that, just 1 second. Would you vote for Baumia in the election? Or you vote for Mahama? Or you vote for Alan Chiramatin? Then the numbers change. You have 15% of the respondents saying they would vote for John Mahama. 73% said they would vote for Baumia in the Ashanti region. 9% said Alan Chiramatin. And 2% said Nana Kwambidiako.
What does that mean? I mean,
it means that if MPP is looking to hit 80% numbers in Ashanti region, at the moment they are struggling, even with the announcement of Napo. But some may say it's early days. So what we will do is that we'll keep tracking this polling data from Ashanti region to see when he hits the ground, will these numbers move in the way they want to see it move, or it will behave differently. So this baseline poll gives us the best chance to measure his contribution to the campaign going forward.
now, yesterday I listened to the vice chairman of the campaign team for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and he says that they're looking at making at least 75% in the Ashanti region. And once they make that, they are very sure that they're going to win. So if you're saying that 80% is what they
Okay, let me tell you. See, when it comes to data and numbers, it's quite tricky. From the poll that we have, he is on 73%.
Yeah.
So if he's looking for 75%, then he's not far from that number. Just 2% off that number that we've given him. So he must be very happy. The question is, 75% of what number? If you have 4 million people in Ashanti voting, and you have 75% showing up to vote, and you win 75%, that isn't the same as having to win 75% of 3 million votes. Well, I hope you get me.
Okay.
You have 100 people in Ashanti region who could vote.
Yeah.
If they turn up to vote and you win 75, you mean out of every 100, you have won 75%. If on the day 90 showed up, right?
Yeah.
Your opponent's number will increase, even though the number of people who come to vote with that opponent hasn't gone up. So the turnout is what is critical for MPP in the region, not the percentage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could win 70% of 100, it's 75%. But 75% of 200 is 150.
Yeah.
And that's the numbers that they should be very worried about, not actually the percentage. Now, you could win that 75%. If you collapse elsewhere in the country, you are doomed.
Now, in talking about collapsing elsewhere in the country, when we look at the numbers for the Greater Accra region, because you also polled about 6 constituencies in the Greater Accra region, I mean, it's not too favorable for the MPP and for Dr. Matthew Poku-Pepe in particular in the Greater Accra region.
In fact, if you look at the Greater Accra numbers, it's quite difficult to watch, because if you put Bawumia and Nanado ticket side by side in Greater Accra, and these are Ablekuma West, Ablekuma North, Ayawaso Central, Ayawaso West Wagon, Tema Central, and Lejokuku, 6 of them, 5 of which are MPP held seats. And these numbers are from these 5 areas, and it doesn't look good. In those areas, when you compare what John Mahama got in 2020, he got 40% in those constituencies. Mahama Jane ticket. Now he's getting 59% in these constituencies.
Wow.
And then Bawumia Nanado ticket was 59% for Bawumia and Nanado ticket in 2020. Now Napo and Bawumia ticket is 41%.
What is accounting for this drop?
Accra is terrible.
When you say terrible, in what sense?
There's a swing of voters who are MPP to NDC. On the average, we've seen about 31% across the region, across Greater Accra, a swing. A swing means people who voted last time for you that have gone to the other side. So in any election, when you have a swing of this nature, it could take any MP down.
But at the same time, I mean, this was conducted just a few days after Napo was announced. And so don't you think that, you know, he needs time to marinate? And then maybe that could also change the numbers.
What I'm saying is
extent.
that at least we have the baseline data.
Okay.
When we go back subsequently, we can see the progress or the improvement or lack of it in the data. If we don't have this data, what do you compare it with?
Okay.
So this gives us a very good chance to say, oh, they are making progress or it has not made any effect or any impact.
Interesting. Council, let me bring you in because, again, you also come from the crop of the MPP and now you are part of Movements for Change. And if you look at the figures with regards to how the president currently and the vice president had done pretty well in the Ashanti region compared to now on the tickets of DMB and Napo, reducing the numbers, is that of concern? You know, should that be of concern to the NPP? You are not a member anymore. But again, it's good news for you because if you look at the numbers, your you know, presidential candidate is polling 9%.
Let me wish all of you viewers a good morning. I think when you look at the numbers and they say that the devil is always in the detail.
Yeah.
I think it should excite all Ghanaians because it won't be in our interest to maintain Dr. Bawumia and Napo as the leaders of this country. Yeah, so there must be some consequence for bad leadership. And so when you look at the numbers, I think Ghanaians should be excited. I'm saying this because, you know, the poll is saying that 84% of the people they polled said they voted for Nana Addo and Bawumia in 2020.
Yeah.
Now, we also know that in the main elections, Nana Addo and Bawumia had 71%, about 71% votes in Ashanti region. And I think we should have very serious consideration for that. So even though 84% of the people they polled said they voted for Nana Addo, 71% of the people in Ashanti region in 2020 voted for. So it means that the majority of the people that you have not polled, you understand, did not necessarily vote for or agree with this 84%. So from the polls, it means that there's a massive swing already
in the Ashanti region, which is supposed to be the stronghold.
It's more than stronghold. It's like their entire hope lies on Ashanti region, and 84, there has been a massive swing from 84% to about 73%. That's 11% drop off. That is catastrophic for the MPP, and it tells me that the people of Ghana or the people of Ashanti, my own people, I think Bujaji Envy is my brother from Ashanti region. They are going to vote on issues. You see, because it is in the interest of this country for the considerations why we vote to go beyond tribal considerations to issues. I go to Ashanti region, a region where majority of people are involved in SME or are SMEs. You understand? And you've had a leadership that has been very adverse to SME. As in, which SME will survive in an environment where interest rate is 29%? Which SME is going to survive in a region where, to borrow the words of His Excellency Dr. Bawumia himself, with Donyame exchange rate? Because exchange rate right now is beyond with Donyame. Yeah, you understand? Which SME? This is inshallah exchange rate. You see, which SME is going to survive in an environment where government grants absolutely no support to them? And then you expect that in spite of this kind of leadership that has been adverse to their personal interest, lack of infrastructure in Kumasi. You go to Kumasi. I was in Kumasi last week, and in the center of Kumasi, so around the Nshaiso Ahojo, around to the Swami roundabout and all those, the roads are terrible. Yeah, understand. And you think that only because you claim, or as in that statement, that you're the Chami Fuma, and so people will vote for you only because you are MPP when you give bad leadership, and because that bad leadership emanates from the MPP, suddenly it becomes good leadership. So as much as I think that the MPP's situation is very precarious, and in fact, it's worse than the polls are showing. You understand? And I think it is an insult to the intelligence of Ghanaians to think that His Excellency Dr. Matipoku Prempeh, you understand? Who, in my view, apart from beyond the fact that people claim he's arrogant, and all, I personally think he's isn't that bad.
Do you agree with that tag as well?
Oh, I don't know him personally, and so usually I'm very careful to judge people based on what people are saying.
Okay.
But based on his records and all, if I were in MPP, I wouldn't think that he was such a bad candidate. However, I don't see how he can clean up a very terrible candidate in His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, a candidate I would want to tell Abusam Samuna, don't touch me. I don't know how they think Napo, because he has a magic wand, can clean up a very terrible candidate who indeed is one of the reasons why our country, Ghana, has lost political leadership, political leadership has lost credibility. It's one of the reasons why our economy has lost credibility. And when we need a leader whose fundamental job going after 2024 is to restore belief and credibility in political leadership, and you think you want to present to Ghanaians the politician who has, I don't think there's any politician who has a lower credibility than His Excellency Dr. Bawumia. And I think because Napo has a magic wand, or because he's an Ashanti, or because he's the most handsome man in Ghana.
It's not about looks, I mean, at this point.
I'm struggling to find a reason why the people would think Napo has something special to clean up a very bad candidate. Because it was essentially...
So in terms of credibility, are you saying that Napo has a better credibility than the current vice president?
Absolutely. And I think that his
which is why he was selected?
For that's what they are hoping. You understand? And I think Napo's credibility will take a dent by his association with the vice president. That's how I tend to look
Why
at
don't you want to believe it could be the reverse? That if you think that he's more credible, then that could rub off the vice president who you say is less credible.
That's what the MPP are hoping will happen.
But you are not seeing it.
No, I'm not seeing it. What special wand does... At the end, the vice president himself, you see, in his bid to extricate himself from Nana Akufo-Addo, said that the position of the vice president is just a myth, and that we should have no regard to the position of vice president. So if the vice president himself is saying that the position he held, the position that he has appointed Napo to potentially hold, you understand, has discredited that position by saying that position is a myth, a mere myth position, that position has no influence. You get the picture. Then why would you think a position of this of insignificance like the running mate can clean up his lack of or prop up his credibility? So for me, I think as much as I think the situation is worse than the polls is saying, I think if I was in the MPP, or if I'm His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, I'll be very worried. Because at the end of the day, 84% of people who voted for that ticket in 2020, 84%, 11% of them say they are not going to vote for.
Briefly before I go to Broja, now if you say you are worried for the MPP, should you not be more worried for your movements? Because you were only able to poll just 9%. If you look at who would vote for you, who would you vote for in the 2024 general elections, you should be more concerned that 9% is not good enough for your candidate.
Absolutely, but then I'm saying that it's not as if I believe 100% in the polls, because clearly when you go to Ashanti region, and not just Ashanti region, across the country, the clamor for the movement for change, they believe in Alan Chamanten's leadership and message. You understand? Certainly, and that's why I said that in spite of the fact that I do not agree entirely with the poll, because in my view, it does not represent what is on the ground. However, you understand, for the MPP, as in for, if 11% out of the 84% of people who said they were going to, who voted, actually voted for what's called Nanado and Bawumia, have flipped. You understand? Then what it tells me is that as time goes by, a lot more people are going to flip.
And flip to your side?
Certainly, because...
Which is why you think you've gotten 9%, because
yeah,
you're pulling numbers from the NPP at the moment.
And I think it should be a worry.
I see. All right. Well, Mr. Bocha Jemfi, so again, with this same question, who would you vote for in the 2024 elections? John Dramani Mahama in the Ashanti region has gained 15% of the votes. That clearly is worrying, especially knowing that you're also looking to pull some numbers from the Ashanti region to your side.
Well, not at all. I think that we must interrogate the numbers. And when you see the numbers and assess who and who were spoken to, it will give you the direction and how your party will perform in the general elections. It is interesting that Musa tells us that overwhelming majority of the people they spoke to were persons who voted for the NPP in the 2020 elections.
That's not the conclusion. We didn't say that.
Oh, okay. I thought that you said
84%.
84%.
So those who voted in 2024 voted
No, in
2020 voted that way. There are those who didn't vote, their visa also there. So it's not like they were just a sample.
Okay.
Okay, so then I want to understand.
If you look at the report closely, we have a report showing those who voted in 2020, how they are voting now, and those who didn't vote, and how they are voting now. So the views are in the report.
Okay, so those who voted in 2020, 84% of them that you spoke to had voted for the NPP.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yes.
Yes, so that's the point I'm making. And so for us, we'll just study the numbers.
Okay.
And see how the persons they spoke to are communicating their intentions. But elections are down to the D-Day, 7 December 2024. We are very confident in the Ashanti region.
In the Ashanti region?
Yes, we are very, very confident. And this time, we are not going to put any numbers out. We know what we are doing on the ground.
Okay.
We know the caliber of candidates we have across the 47 constituencies in the region. We already have 4 seats in the Ashanti region. We are seeking to increase the numbers.
To what number?
That I will not tell you, but you would see an increment in
we were
the
hoping
number
that you'll
of
be able
seats.
to tell us so that we can also track.
No, in the number of seats, the NDC will win in the Ashanti region. We are going to increase that. And so we don't think that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh brings anything special to the table. In fact, if you listen to the NPP themselves, they have not professed anything exceptional that Matthew Opoku Prempeh brings to the table. They have not told us how he's going to help to recover this economy. They have not told us what he's going to do in order to improve our educational sector.
But he's not been outdoored yet. That's going to happen today. And so maybe that will follow after that.
It still does not take away the fact that the General Secretary announced to the Ghanaian people that the National Council has accepted him. And in that press conference, they spoke about some attributes that he possessed. They could have told us what exactly the man brings to the table. If you study the trajectory and how the NPP has behaved over the years, they thrive on ethnicity, religion, emotional things that people attach to how the society behaves in order to survive. And so it was not surprising that in the election of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, they were concentrating on regionalism, why he's from the north, he's a Muslim, and all that. When it backfired, you realize that they pulled back. Now they are going again with Napo, that Ashantis will vote because Napo is from Ashanti region.
Nana Kumia yesterday insisted that he was not selected because he's from the Ashanti region.
The national executive members of the NPP had already intimated that the running mate must come from the Ashanti region. Why that position? It is because they want to play the tribal card. And for me, that is tokenism. They had the opportunity to elect an Ashanti as a flag bearer. Alan Chematin is from Ashanti region. Kwabene Japan is from the Ashanti region. In fact, there were quite a number of candidates who presented themselves from the Ashanti region. They did not support those persons. And so they cannot come back and tell the region that, yes, you wanted a presidential candidate. We didn't give you, but we have a running mate for you. So for me, it is going down to the achievement, the delivery of both parties in the region. That is what is going to determine the region. The NPP can not boast of any monumental project in the Ashanti region. And record and the history will tell you that the NDC develops the region more when we are in power. And there are many projects, countless projects that I can tell you on this table that the NDC has undertaken in the region. And that is what is going to drive this particular election.
What are these projects in particular?
The NDC has put up an ultra-modern market for Ashanti region. And as my brother lawyer told you, Ashanti is SME driven. We are mainly involved in trading. And so anybody who wants to develop Ashanti and does not look at how you can build a comfortable environment for trading activities to go on, then that person has no vision for the region. It is not only that market. If you go into the various sub-districts in Kumasi, we have constructed modern markets in Asokwa, in Tafo, in Asanwase, in many other areas.
Okay.
In terms of healthcare delivery, we have constructed many hospitals, including a regional hospital, Sewa Regional Hospital. Talk about roads. So these are developmental projects that will drive the 2024 elections. It will not be about whether a person is from the region or not. Napo has been a member of this government. What has been his contribution to the region?
I'll let you hold on with this because I know that Musa Dankwa has to go. And since you're talking about developments, I really just want to put this to him before he leaves, as in 2 minutes. I'll come back to you.
All right, okay,
so you can have your time. But I found something very interesting in your polls. It says here that how likely is his nomination going to influence you to vote for the NPP in the December elections? If you look at the constituency where he served as MP for the last couple of years, he polls 86%. And then you go to a constituency like Swami. Or, okay, let's move to Forikro more like. Let me see. There's one that actually had more than him or close to him as well. And I found that very interesting because how is it that he's getting more in that area? Let me look for it and be sure exactly which one I'm talking about. So in Misha South, 86%. And then you go to, hold on. Okay, where's this again? I think I've lost it. Okay, so we have 84%. This is, do you believe Matthew Pokumbepe is the best candidate to help MPP break the 8? In his own constituency, he gets 84%. You go to Suame, for example, where they weren't too happy with the lack of development in their area. They said 87%. And I found that very interesting. Can you explain to me exactly how this is happening?
No, you see, the acceptance is not uniform across the whole Ashanti region. If you look at his numbers in Manshia South, it is 84%. Manshia North, which used to be part of Manshia itself, it has 46%. Lower number there in Manshia North. And when you go to places like Obuasi West, it's 51%. Offensive North is 36%. So there are variations across the constituencies in the region. So we're yet to see whether there are other areas that are even worse than this number. So because we pick a sample from just few areas, and there are 47 or so constituencies in Ashanti region. How would the numbers look like everywhere else?
But how is he doing better in another constituency than his own constituency? Which is what I'm trying to understand.
But you said something, I said the messenger is not accepted by his own people.
So you think that's what it is?
There are issues.
Anyway, so you're saying that you're going to conduct another poll?
Yeah, we'll track these numbers.
We
We will hoping to do this monthly for Ashanti region because for of the keen interest we have there. So we will look at these numbers every month in Ashanti region.
Every month. But
Yes.
what about the other regions? Because again, with this one, you don't
The other
look at
regions,
Accra and
we
Ashanti.
do them every 90 days. But because Ashanti is going to be very crucial, and because it's been made so by the utterances of the party, we want to know what is happening there. That's
So
why
you
we have prioritized the Ashanti region
I see.
for the next month, yes.
Well, interesting. I know you have to leave now, so I'm going to let you go. But thank you so much for joining us on
my
the show.
pleasure.
Musa Dankwa is the Executive Director for Global Info Analytics. And it's the reason why we're discussing this because of the research that has been conducted. So we'll let him take leave of us while I go back to Broja Jemfi. And you're talking about development and how that is going to play a critical role, which is why you're sure that the NDC is going to make more numbers in the Ashanti region.
Of course, yes. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh has served in public office for the last 16 years or so, serving as a member of parliament. In terms of serving as a cabinet minister, we have known him for the last 8 years. What has been his impact on the region? What has he brought from government to the Ashanti region? And so he cannot be taken as not part of the mess that has been created. He's, of course, a member of the government. He's played an active role in this government. We've known him. I am not inclined to rely on people who tell us about their personal experiences with him. He's a public officer, for Christ's sake. Ghanaians have worked with him. His constituents have known him for 16 years. The generality of Ghanaians have at least known him for the last 8 years as a cabinet minister. How has he dealt with the Ghanaian people? In terms of how he treats persons he works with. In the education ministry, you remember his famous statement on teacher trainees who possess diploma in education. I mean, trying to rubbish the intellect of teachers whom we have entrusted the destiny of our kids in. That persons who go to the colleges of education are people who failed or got lower grades at the secondary school level. I think that the Minister of State and a minister in charge of education, for that matter, must not make that statement. It tells you that if you promote such a person, you increase his power and ego to even look down more on the people. And so Dr. Napo or Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh cannot take himself out of the mess that we are in. And in any case, is he the new flag bearer of the NPP? Has the NPP changed their
Why are you
flag
saying?
bearer?
Why are you asking that?
Because the noise about Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is as if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been pushed aside.
But he's just been
And we
announced
have-
as the running mate. There's going to be an outdooring.
That's why I'm making this point. This is just the announcement before the outdooring. And they are making it look like...
Did you not do same as a party?
No.
You did same as a party.
You listen to my
Okay.
point. Because of the nomination of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, the NPP's chances in the 2024 election has suddenly, metamorphosed into some a big white elephant that is going to deliver victory for them. And I'm saying that that cannot be the case. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is on the ballot paper. Whoever partners him in their own understanding is going to be his mate. And so until they tell us how they are going to take us from this economic quagmire, we will not accept that ticket. The NPP cannot win this election with this ticket. Whether Bawumia, Napo, or Bawumia, anybody, we believe that they are in the boat together. They have destroyed this economy together. They have destroyed our energy sector together. They have destroyed our educational sector together. Until they give us very pragmatic measures that they are going to take in order to take us from this hole, that ticket will not be accepted. And nobody is going to allow them to do tribal, ethnic politics in the 2024 elections.
Okay.
We are going to match them in Ashanti region.
Okay.
And will not allow that kind of thinking. Forget about development. Forget about your personal circumstances. Even if you are poor, vote for him because he comes from your hometown. Vote for him because he's your tribesman. That kind of politics must end in this election.
Well, 60% of the people who are polled in the Ashanti region believe that he is the right candidate to help MPP break the 8. So when you say we will not accept it, are you speaking on behalf of the rest of Ghanaians or on behalf of yourself and your party?
I am speaking as somebody who is from the Ashanti region, a major stakeholder in the region. The NPP has always performed beyond 70% in the Ashanti region. That has been their strength in the region. In fact, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, in the last 2 elections, in the Menchia South constituency, got more than 80%. And that's why I'm not even surprised about the number of persons from his constituency who are saying that he's the right person because they vote for him anyway. In 2016, I think he got about 86 or so percent, which dropped in 2020 to 84, 83%. So that clearly tells the strength of the party in the region. But it will not translate, overwhelmingly in terms of their the votes that they will get in the 2024 elections.
But you're not saying this based on facts.
I'm saying that based on facts.
Based on what facts? What research has been conducted to indicate that he's not going
If the MPP strength in the region is beyond 70%, and you are telling me that 60%...
60% just believe that he is the right candidate to help break the 8.
Yes, he's from the Ashanti region. And so
but
if the strength of the party is beyond 70%, we are expecting that by virtue of the fact that he's from the region, and they are telling us that because he's from the region, he will deliver the region. We are expecting to see the numbers beyond that.
Let me bring,
And so for 60% to say that he's the right person to help to break the 8.
But there's 73% who approve of his nomination, by the way. And so if you look at that, then that is also in the 70s.
Even with that, you must look at it from the numbers, because you would see that Musa categorizes the people that they spoke to, which party they belong to, and which parties they voted for. So you must look at all these numbers and not look at the results that have been put out.
Let counsel come in so he can respond.
In fact, for me, like I said earlier, I want to react to that point. Ashanti region has a voting population of almost 4 million people. I think the people polled were about 1,300, less than 0.05%. So for me, we shouldn't get too excited or get too down by these polls. Because really, I can tell you that it does not represent, and in fact, and that's why and that fact came out in very serious questions you were asking, and I hope you would have continued. Because we all know, everybody in Ghana knows the disaffection of people of Swami against the MPP. And now the question is, how many points Swami did Musa Dankwa? Because we all know the MP went to Swami, and I think he was almost beaten up.
with
and then some polls come out, and 87% of what Swami are saying that they want
him over. They want Napo over.
So for me, I think because of the sheer numbers pooled, because about 1,300 out of over 4 million people, I don't think it will represent the sentiments down there, except to add that, we know that the MPP and their candidates are not that popular in Kumasi or in Ashanti region as they would have expected, and that shows in the desperation, because their major consideration, and we all know, don't pay too much attention to what was his name, the STC MD said.
Nana Komia.
I can tell you on authority that their major concentration was to choose an Ashanti.
Well, let me...
That was their major concentration.
Hold on to that. Dr. Samuel Efriye is a political and economic analyst. He's well versed in NPP politics. He's joining us. He's an economic lecturer at the Kumasi Technical University. Good morning, Doc. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
All right.
How are you, please?
I'm fine, thank you. I hope you're well too.
Yes,
I'm sure you heard from my panelists, and my counsel here says that we shouldn't place too much premium on a statement made by Nana Kumi indicating that Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh was not chosen because he's from the Ashanti region, but rather because of other attributes that he brings onto the party and to the ticket. Do you agree with that? Looking at the fact that there's been, a research conducted where it shows that even though he has been named the running mate, he's not been able to deliver on the polling numbers and improvement on the polling numbers at the moment.
Thank you very much, and my greetings to your viewers and also to your panelists, especially Professor. I know him well in Kumasi, so my greetings to him. Critically, when you look at the issues on board where the vice, that is the running mate nominee of, that is Dr. Baumia, the issues in Kumasi or in Ashanti region is a critical situation because of the stronghold of the MPP party. And when you look at the issues now, a lot of people are complaining, a lot of people are raising issues about the performance of the MPP in Ashanti region. So one of the critical issues, the voter apathy, that is the stronghold. And mostly in the second round or second term or most of the MPP government, you see the voter apathy being at least the big issue. So the moment the party, that is the party members or voters who vote come out, the apathy comes in, then it becomes very, very difficult. So the issue is, now they have to get someone from the Ashanti region that can result in by pulling the voter apathy. That is one thing. And the second one is to also increase. So it's a very big task for the MPP to ensure that these issues, so that if not, they can't make any difference in the 2024 election. And so they try to bring out someone who can leverage the voter apathy and also to bring in more votes. And that brings in the issue of Napo coming in. Napo being a party man, looking at his background, looking at all the issues that are involved about him, being a minister and all kind of the kind of work that he did at the Ministry of Education and now the Energy and also at least in the party. So when you look at all the vice presidents that have been nominated or that have been part of the system, it seems Napo is one of the party that is known, that has been involved from the party since that is in the party activity. So that brings out the issue of the party bringing him, and at the same time the outside how people can also accept him.
Okay.
So that is the issue that is critical here.
But
at the same time,
okay,
yes.
Carry on, sir.
At the same time, the issue about the Alan-Shamatenda Fafanto syndrome that is also in Ashanti region is also a factor.
Okay.
So, coming from Ashanti region, the task for Napo won't be easy. It will be very, very, very difficult. It's just that the person has come to, everything will be okay. No. I think Napo has a Herculean task to work hard if he wants to change the voting system in Ashanti region based on the past. And so that is what Napo comes in. So Napo has a big task. And I'm saying it won't be easy, but he has to. The party believes that he can do the work and deliver. So that is why they brought him, because they think that he's a hard-working person.
But when you say
that he can make it.
When you say he should work hard, in what sense? Especially listening to Broya Jemfi saying that it's not enough to say he's a unifier, he's incorruptible, he's, a hard worker. They actually want solutions, tangible solutions to the problems that we face in this country, which the NPP has not outlined yet. So when you say he needs to work hard, what exactly does he have to do?
Thank you very much. When we talk about he has to work hard, as I said earlier, one of the issues is the voter apathy. So he has to achieve that goal, that he has to bring people so that those issues will be, as you mentioned, about the issues in the country, about economic hardship, and in terms of inflation, dollar issues, unemployment. These are key issues that he has to convince people. And even, let's say, Ashanti region, what the party has delivered in the Ashanti region, he also has to convince people that this is what the government has done so far, and when he coming in is going to also add more. So the issue is to convince people about the government performance, what they have not been able to achieve, at the same time, what they intend to achieve. So it has a dicey situation that all these issues, people have to be convinced. Because I'm in Kumasi, and probably we can testify about this business community, how they are struggling in terms of taxes, in terms of how the dollar and other issues. Because Kumasi is a commercial, probably city, so you can see a lot of small business and these businesses. And these are the complaints. And you see that always the prices of goods and services are always increasing. So these are critical issues. If you say you have come for 7 years, 7.7, how will you convince that why these hardships? So these are the things that Napo has to let people know. Because once he's been appointed now, Baumia will not be focusing much more here. He has to do the work, and that is a Herculean task, as I say, how to convince people about what the government has achieved, what the government was not able to achieve, and why they was not able to achieve. And being that, I think maybe he can achieve goals for. Yeah.
How does he shake off the arrogant tag that's been placed on him while still trying to convince people that they can actually do the job?
Excuse me, come again, please.
I'm asking that in doing the job as well, there's also this tag that has been placed on him that he's arrogant. And so for a lot of people, that's what they're running with. How can he shake that off while still convincing them that him alongside the vice president are the best to do the job at the moment?
Well, I think he has to work on that, you know. If whatever people see or perceive it to be so, then what now you are in. So you have to let people know that you are not, or you are like this. So that is also the outside part of Napo. That is one took within the party. They don't see him like that. But outside, based on his utterances and sometimes his public reaction, people see him to be arrogant. That is what people see him to be. So now you have come in, they have taken you, the party likes you. Now that is what the outside people also see you. That is also see you to be there. So I think the party needs to work on it, and maybe within these 5 months might be some way. That's what I'm saying, that he has to work very hard. He has to work on his personality and that aspect of that arrogance being perceived. At the same time, you also have to work on the party strategy to bring more people to come and vote. So his arrogant type, whether it's true or not, he has to work on it.
Yeah.
He has to let people and prove people that what they are saying is not what they say. So that probably, because at the end of the day, you are coming to work for people, and some people, section of the people see you, oh, you are there. So maybe I think that is what the party immediately appoint someone to be a spokesperson. Maybe they want to work on that as well. So
okay.
I think he has to work on it.
But the scary aspect of this as well is that if you look at the current president, he was also tagged as arrogant. And so he lost the elections about 2 times, had to work on himself, find a way to come down to the grassroots, drink kalipo, eat kenke, with people and all that, and even go on to say, Mekoso Asre. So just indicating that he had now become a humble man and was willing to do the job. That was when Ghanaians decided to give him that mandate. Now, if the president had to use over 8 years, up to 12 years, to work on this tag and shake it off, how can Napo, for example, use just 5 months to shake this off?
My dear sister, that was what I was saying, that probably that will make the job difficult, And another president now was having those issues, and I think he took time. And I think there was enough time for him to work on his character, some aspect of his character that people see to be arrogant. So at the end of the day, Napo, that is my fear now, that he has few months. So he has to work extra. He has to convince people. And, based on his utterances and this is where now you make somebody a spokesperson. So maybe the party wants to just reduce his public engagement so that he might not be, at least, or he himself has to control his temper in a way about how to deal with people. So my fear is a short time, whether he can convince Ghanaians, whether he can convince others that at least this is not me, but this is who I am. And that is where I believe, because Nana, our president, has enough time.
Thank you, Doc.
Have enough time.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Dr. Samuel Efriye is a political and economic analyst.
My pleasure.
And yes, he is an economic lecturer at the Kumasi Technical University. But let's move on now and quickly get into the issue concerning the Chief Justice. You wanted to come in?
Just a minute of the last question you put to Doc.
Okay.
About how Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is going to shake off the tag of arrogance. I think the only thing to do is to first of all apologize to Ghanaians.
Okay.
For some of his utterances, and also to change his character, because we will not trust him in these few months to elections. You rightly mentioned President Akufo-Addo, and you see how he was rebranded and sold to Ghanaians, and when he became president, the real character showed up. Now he goes to events or programs, and he commands chief to stand up and come and shake him. He, even when the anthem is being played, very disrespectful comments to traditional rulers, to chiefs and all that. That's the real character of Akufo-Addo, which was hidden from us in the lead up to the 2016 elections. And so they cannot do that about Napo. It's too late. Until and unless he publicly apologizes to the people of Ghana for asking us to draw our own doomsday timetable, for the insults on teachers and many other issues, nobody will trust that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh will change from his arrogant self to a humble person in the last 5 months when he begins to mount podium or visit people's home and eat and PC with them.
Are we not misconstruing confidence for arrogance in this case?
When you tell people to do their own timetable, that's not confidence. That's arrogance. You don't respect the people. We are in doomsday. Even today, the lights still go off. In Kumasi, I was in Kumasi for about 2 weeks. I went to do a funeral for my in-laws. So I was in Kumasi virtually for 2 weeks. And the light was consistently going off. And this is a minister of energy who will not admit his incompetence, but will also tell you that he doesn't really care whether the lights go off or not. Do your own timetable. That is not.
That's not what he said. That he doesn't care.
That's far.
He didn't say that.
Showing no care.
Because he's insisting that there's no doomsday. And over time, we've listened to communicators say that.
That alone is trying to gaslight Ghanaians, disrespecting the intelligence of Ghanaians. We are living in the thing. The lights go off, and you tell us there's no doomsday.
Let's move on. Let's move on now and talk about the Chief Justice.
But at least the doctor agreed that the only reason why they chose him is because he's an Ashanti.
So we should ignore what Nana Kumia said. That is not because he's from...
That's the reason.
He's just throwing dust into our eyes.
It's just a very tribal party, and the only reason why.
I see. Interesting. We're going